Good evening and welcome, everybody. Today is Thursday, December 13th. The time is 6:03 p.m. and welcome to the general meeting of the Poway Unified School District Board of Education. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Thank you very much. We'll now report out of closed session. Mr. Sellers.
The matter of pending existing litigation, PERB case number LACE 6189-E, there was no reportable action. Closed session began at 4:07 p.m. Item 2.1b, in the matter of pending existing litigation, case number 2018-060-783, on a motion by O'Connor-Radcliffe and a second by Beatty, the board voted to approve a final settlement of $67,565. The vote was unanimous. Item 2.3-A, in the matter of pupil, personnel, student expulsion, disciplinary matters, and other confidential student matters, case number 2018-2019.02, expulsion appeal, on a motion by Beatty and a second by Zane, the board voted to suspend the expulsion with placement at Abraxas High School for 1+1 through June 2019, based upon the board's review of the findings of fact and recommendations and consideration of arguments regarding the appeal heard in closed session. The roll call vote was as follows: ayes, Beatty, O'Connor-Radcliffe, Patel, Sellers, and Zane, none against. In the matter of item 2.4-A, there was no reportable action. Item 2.6-A, in the matter of public employee appointment, Director 2 Special Education, on a motion by Patel and a second by O'Connor-Radcliffe, the board voted to approve the appointments of Lisa Dreyer and Tiffany King as Director 2 Special Education. Vote of the board was unanimous. There was no other reportable action taken during closed session, which adjourned at 5:45 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Sellers. Please note, for the record, all members are in attendance. And at this time, I'd like to ask Board Member Schwartz to welcome the public.
Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Board of Education. If you'd like to address the board on any agenda item, please complete a speaker slip. All requests to speak must be submitted to the clerk of the board before the agenda item comes up. If you are requesting an agenda item be pulled for public discussion from Section 5.0 Consent Calendar, a speaker slip must be submitted to the clerk now, as approval of the consent calendar is one of the first items up for approval. Item 4.2 is placed on our agenda to enable members of our community to bring items that are not placed anywhere else on the agenda to the board's attention. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 15 minutes per topic, unless waived by the board president. There will be a 30-second yellow warning light when time is running out. Speakers may only speak on one topic under item 4.2 and may not defer their speaking time to another individual. If there are concerns regarding specific individuals, it is preferred that the speaker refrain from naming them publicly to respect their privacy. The board will accept and review any written materials that would provide more specific information. The Brown Act does not permit board action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda, but your concerns will be referred to staff. With that said, welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. At this time, this brings us to item 3.5, the approval of agenda sequence. And just to note that staff has pulled item 3.6F. Is there a motion for approval of agenda sequence?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. A second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mr. Schwartz, preferential vote?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Motion is unanimous. Thank you. All right. 3.6. All right, thank you. Now I'll turn it over, or excuse me, 3.6, 3.6A. I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Yes. Tonight's an important organizational meeting for our school board, and I want to extend my warmest congratulations to our newly elected board member, Ms. Ginger Couvret, as well as our re-elected board members, Mr. T.J. Zane and Ms. O'Connor Radcliffe, who are going to be officially sworn in tonight. So if I can ask Mr. Zane to please join me in the front of the dais, and if he has family here, that they're welcome to join us as well.
They're home watching kids.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Thomas J. Zane, Jr.,
I, Thomas J. Zane, Jr.,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies,
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
that
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. On behalf of the cabinet and district staff, we look forward to continuing to work together with you to strengthen our mission of college and career readiness for each and every one of our students. Thank you. Ms. O'Connor Radcliffe, will her family like to come and join us? Ms. O'Connor Radcliffe, could you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Michelle O'Connor Radcliffe,
I, Michelle O'Connor Radcliffe,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully
well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On behalf of the PUSD cabinet and district staff, we look forward to continuing our work together with you to strengthen our mission and College of Career Readiness for each and every one of our students. Congratulations. Ms. Ginger Couvret. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ginger Couvret,
I,
I, Ginger Koufret,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and
California,
the Constitution to the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully
well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Ms. Couvriette, on behalf of Cabinet and the district staff, we look forward to continuing our work together with you to strengthen our mission of college and career readiness for each and every one of our students. Congratulations. Now I'd like to ask to come up front outgoing board member Charles Sellers. Mr. Sellers has served this district as a board member for the past 4 years. We wanted to express our sincere gratitude to him and his family for serving as our trustee. We know that being a board member isn't easy, and you served us well. Mr. Sellers, thank you for your service. It is my honor to present to you this plaque. This plaque reads, "In special recognition to Mr. Charles Sellers for outstanding leadership and dedicated service to our students as a trustee of the Poway Unified School District Board of Education, December 2014 to December 2018. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marion. I will make this shorter than one of Michelle's board reports so that we can get on with our meeting. I want to start by thanking my wife, Pat, and my son, Kelby, for always having my back during some very trying times and for giving me sound advice, even when I didn't want it. I also want to thank Kimberly Beatty for her extraordinary friendship and support over these past 4 years. The good people of Poway have no idea just how hard she works for all of you. I want to thank Ashley McGlone of the Voice of San Diego for focusing her publication's attention on us and for reporting what was going on here fairly and accurately. I think she made us all more accountable for our actions. TJ, you are now the lone representative of the Y chromosome up there. We're all counting on you to do us proud. But beware, these ladies are very sharp and they will gut you like a fish if you don't do your homework, so you better come prepared every night. I also want to thank all the hardworking people of PUSD, especially Lee Raskin and Chris Izal, for giving my kid and everyone else's a great education. It truly is an advantage for life. And finally, I want to say what an honor and a privilege, though not always a pleasure, it has been serving on this board. People called to public service endure a lot of slings and arrows. As they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Take note, Ginger. In the end, all you can hope is to do more good than harm and leave this place in better shape than you found it. I exit confident in the knowledge that I have at least met that standard and done all I could to advance the fiscal, operational, and academic standing of the district. In closing, I tell you what I told so many graduates, that you will someday, like me now, leave Poway Unified, but it will never leave you. So remember who you are, where you came from, and always, always, always be true to your school. Thank you, and goodbye for now.
I'd like to now invite Ms. Ginger Couvret to please join us at the dais. And now I'll turn the meeting over to President Zane to conduct the remaining of the board business, which will begin with new board member comments.
Thank you, Dr. Phelps. And I want to give an opportunity for Dr. Patel to return to the dais and Ms. Beatty. Okay, great, thank you. Well, welcome, Ms. Couvret. Welcome to the board, and we'd like to give you an opportunity to say a few words.
So, fellow board members, superintendent, cabinet, staff, students, parents, and community members, I am so humbled and thankful for the opportunity to serve my community as your new trustee. PUSD has given my children a wonderful foundation. In fact, my oldest, who graduates in June from Cal Poly SLO, has multiple job offers. My other son received the highest grade at its UC Irvine chemistry class out of a student body of 500 and is currently studying abroad in New Zealand, working his way back through Japan. And my daughter is a confident and thriving Poway High School student that will probably surpass her brothers. My plan is to use my experiences, my connections, and my willingness to learn and work hard to add value to our fantastic district. I promise to reflect on our mission statement so all decisions are based on our core values to the benefit of all our children. When PUSD comes up in conversations or in media, I want everyone to know that we put kids first and leave drama and personal feelings behind. I am eager for the board to work as a committed team to drive positive change. I'm excited to support the superintendent and her staff as they work hard to improve culture, modernize, and organize after the years that we were adrift. I am committed to our students, our parents, teachers, employees, community, laws, and procedures. And especially because we represent kids, I will strive to demonstrate the highest ethical standards of conduct, as well as communicate the why behind the tough decisions for all our constituents. With my optimism and positive energy, I will champion our schools, programs, and students, and work hard to make the district transparent so that the community can have confidence that PUSD is the best district in the county. I hope to bring together ideas from the community to make us even stronger and bring more opportunities to our students. Through the election process, I enjoyed meeting the wonderful members of our community, from fun community events to athletic games to the small group meetings with special needs families, those concerned about safety, and others passionate about the arts. Thank you to all my volunteers and supporters, to the teachers and classified staff who had magnets on their cars, signs in their yards, and even walked door to door with me. Thank you. To everyone who put up a sign, walked precincts, waved on corners, donated funds, and wrote amazing endorsements, our grass campaign worked. Thank you. I will work hard to exceed your expectations, and please know that I love this community, and I am solely motivated to make it better for all our students. And finally, a thank you to my husband and family for building a 30-foot trebuchet to raise money for our special needs, for marching in multiple parades, for teaching our kids how to build balsa wood towers and save eggs from falling from 3-story balconies for Science Olympiad, and for all my other projects. I love you, and I guess it's time to get to work. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Couvret. We are going through our annual board organization that is conducted every December, the election of officers and appointing of representatives to our various board committees, and appointing representatives to our various board committees. So we're going to take this time to complete this important work. The first step is electing our officers, as president, vice president, and clerk are to be elected. As the current president, policy requires I conduct the nomination and election of the office of president only. Once it has been completed, then the new president will then take nominations and conduct separate elections for the vice president and clerk, as well as the assignment of committees. So with that, I will open the floor for nominations and begin by nominating Dr. Patel. Are there any other nominations? Do you accept the nomination?
I do accept.
Are there any other nominations? All right. Are there any other nominations? Going once, going twice. Hearing no other nominations, congratulations, Dr. Patel. Now we know why you were so tall up here. It's a seat cushion.
As the new president of the board, my first order of business is to present outgoing president TJ Zane with this plaque, thanking him for his outstanding leadership and service. So we'll all stand up in the front. TJ, I'd like to present you with this plaque. It says, in special recognition to TJ Zane for service as president, Poway Unified School District Board of Education, December 2017 to December 2018. We'll now move forward to the other officer positions. I'll accept nominations for vice president. And I nominate Michelle.
Madam Chair, as a point of information, last year you made the commitment to return to officer rotations. Could you clarify, are you intent on being true to your word and honoring that commitment? If so, the proper nomination would be myself, as I would be the next in line in the rotation.
I am willing to honor the rotation to board members that have been acting ethically. I'm open to nominations.
So to clarify, you are not honoring your commitment. You're not true to your word.
I'm opening the floor to nominations.
So to clarify, is that correct then? We are not doing officer rotations? As you had stated, was what you intended to do going forward last year.
Yes, that is correct. I'm open to nominations. Thank you.
With the intention of...
There's no mandatory requirement to have it be in rotations, and the rotations are for board members that have been acting ethically. Yes.
That's correct. It's about integrity and honoring your commitments and being true to your word. And I'm asking you not whether it's a legal requirement or a procedural requirement or a policy, but just if you intend to honor your commitment that you made.
Would you like to nominate yourself at this time?
Yes, I would.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? All right, we'll do the vote. We have one nomination for Michelle O'Connor-Ratcliffe. Do you accept the nomination?
I do.
And a nomination for board member Kimberly Beatty. Do you accept it this time?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Do we do? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote at this time. All those in favor of Michelle O'Connor Ratcliffe?
That's not a roll call.
Okay, Ms. O'Connor Ratcliffe, how do you vote?
O'Connor Ratcliffe.
Board Member Beatty?
Beatty?
Board Member Couvret?
O'Connor Ratcliffe.
Board Member Zane?
O'Connor Ratcliffe.
O'Connor Ratcliffe. So the vote is 4 for O'Connor Ratcliffe, 1 for Board Member Beatty. Board Member O'Connor Ratcliffe, you are the Vice President. We'll now call for nominations for clerk.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Couvret.
Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. We'll start with a roll call vote. Oh, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Thank you. So there are no other nominations. You are clerk. Congratulations. Thank you. We'll now move forward with our appointments from the president. Representative for county meetings, a representative for the California Association of Suburban School Districts, delegate for the CSBA Assembly, a liaison with Palomar Health Board, representatives to joint meetings with the City of Poway and City of San Diego, and Chambers of Commerce need to be appointed at this time. So we'll start at the top. For the County Board of Education representative, do I have any nominations?
I would like to nominate myself.
That's good. Any other nominations? Board Member O'Connor Ratcliffe, it's yours. For California Association of Suburban School Districts, which is CalSSD representatives, I need 2 to 3 people. Any nominations?
I'm willing to serve in that capacity again.
Anyone else?
I would like to as well.
Excellent. Anybody else?
I would be willing to be third in line.
So
only if they
an
can't
alternate.
go. Yes, please.
All right.
I thought I was third. I wanted to be third.
No, too
You're
late.
first.
Too late.
Anyone else? All right, that fulfills the requirement for 3 people. We have TJ Zane, Board Member Zane, as the Calicity representative, along with Board Member Couvret, and O'Connor Ratcliffe, Board Member O'Connor Ratcliffe as the alternate. For California School Boards Association, the CSBA Delegate Assembly, do I have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate you, Dr. Patel.
Thank you.
It's your ballywick.
Any other nominations? Well, I accept. I'll do it. Moving on, Palomar Health Board, do I have any nominations? Board Member Beatty, you were the representative last year. Would you like to continue on this?
Sure, I can remain.
Excellent. Anybody else? All right. Palomar Health goes to Board Member Beatty. City of Poway Subcommittee, I need 2 liaisons. Any nominations?
I would like to do that.
Any other nominations?
I'd like to serve as well. Continue to serve there.
Any other nominations? All right, we have Board Member Couvret and Board Member Zane as City of Poway Subcommittee liaisons. Moving on to the City of San Diego Subcommittee liaisons, do I have any nominations?
I'd like to continue serving in that capacity as well.
Okay, any other?
I'm interested. Do you need 2? Do you need 2?
We need 2.
Okay.
You would like to do that?
Sure.
Any other nominations? All right, so for the City of San Diego Subcommittee, our liaisons are Board Member Zane and Board Member O'Connor Ratcliffe. Poway Chamber of Commerce liaison, I need a nomination.
I'd be interested in that.
Any other nominations? Board Member Couvret, you've got Poway Chamber of Commerce Liaison. Next is San Diego North County or North Chamber of Commerce Liaison. Any nominations?
I would also like to do that one.
Any other nominations?
I like the chambers.
Excellent. So, Board Member Couvret, you've got the two chambers. Looking forward to some good partnerships.
Yep, that's the plan.
Palomar Council PTA Board Representative rotates, and we have the last one, San Diego County Board of Supervisors Representative. I need one nomination. I need a nomination.
I'll continue on to that if that's okay.
Any other nominations? All right. San Diego County Board of Supervisors is for Board Member Zane. And now we will take a short break a 5-minute break to rearrange our seats. Thank you very much. It's 6:34. We'll convene at 6:39. we could take our seats so we can get back to our meeting. We'll begin with our student board representative reports. Thank you for your patience. We're at 4.0 oral presentations. 4.1. We'll continue our regular board meeting with our student board representative reports. Thank you for your patience. I will call you up one by one. First we have where did it go? Jamie Souza from Abraxas High School. Oh, thank you.
All right. I feel like I'm testifying before Congress right now. This is interesting. All right. Start now? Just go? Yeah? All right. Hello, and thank you for allowing me to present to the board. My name is Jamie Souza. We have two programs at Abraxas High School, the Diploma Program and the Transition Program. I'm a student in the Diploma Program. The Transition Program is for young adults 18 to 22 who learn important life skills at Abraxas and in the community. The students in the Transition Program continue to develop their mobility skills using MTS in the community to get to and from their job sites, make purchases at grocery stores, and improve their overall independence. The students have begun working and volunteering at a variety of job sites in the community, such as Kaminsky's Barbecue, Walgreens, the district office, Armstrong Garden Center, and those are just a few to name. The diploma program will complete our second quarter next Thursday, and we'll have our December graduation. Our leadership club has held 2 blood drives, and the volunteers have donated 60 units of blood, getting us halfway to our goal of 120 units. For the year, the leadership club worked with the transition program. I messed that up. Sorry. The leadership club worked with the transition program on a craft fair, which raised over $400 for the transition program. The leadership club had another successful Toys for Tots drive, collecting over 150 toys for the Marine Corps. 14 students from the construction class have completed the first level of pre-apprenticeship program and were awarded their level 1 certification. This program is available to all high school students in PUSD. Students from both the diploma program and transition programs participate in the Abraxas Garden Project. Channel 10 News was recently at Abraxas High School to cover the award ceremony for first place in the state of California for community impact, first place nationally for community beautification, and first place nationally for civic achievement. The Abraxas Garden continues to donate the majority of the produce to needy families in our community. The garden has now produced over 5,000 pounds of produce to backyard produce and friends of Poway. The Abraxas Garden produce is available to the public at a monthly fundraiser farmers market in the patio next to Elements Cafe at the district office on the first Wednesday of each month. Abraxas is my 5th high school. I've attended Mount Carmel, Sage Creek in Carlsbad, Westmont High up in Campbell, California, and Boynton Continuation School in San Jose. Abraxas is the only school I've genuinely looked forward to going back for another day. The way the credits are earned, the first name basis with the staff, small class sizes, the guitar ukulele class, the support groups and collaboration with the community just work in a way that none of my previous schools could ever compete with. I'm beyond grateful to be a student at Abraxas. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jamie. Next, from Del Norte High School, Delaney Anderson.
Hello, board and all in attendance. My name is Delaney Anderson, and I am the AAC president at Del Norte High School. I would like to touch on the ways Del Norte is continuously college-ready, future-focused, and globally aware. College-ready. Similar to all seniors around the country, things are in full swing for our 2019 graduating class. Seniors are coming out of the whole application process and looking forward to their future homes. In addition, we finished our first trimester, and all of our students did an amazing job managing finals. We are proud to announce that 941 of our students received a 4.0 or higher GPA trimester 1, and another 262 receiving between a 3.75 and 3.99 GPA. As a part of our finals week, our arts program put together a night at the museum to show off all the visual and performing arts has to offer, and for students to both discover and present their artistic abilities. Future focus. The freshman class is partnering with Mr. Schultz to create a freshman forum to discuss class issues and integrate the freshmen into Del Norte early into their high school career. We are excited to see the ideas what they come up with together. In terms of our recent events, we had an improv show last Friday where students get to experience live comedy by their peers. Additionally, there is an instrumental seasonal concert coming up before the break, as well as our annual dance team holiday show. We are continuing our No Place for Hate campaign as we seek to make our campus as inclusive and community-focused as possible. Globally aware. Our Eco Future Club has gotten recycling bins donated and are active in promoting recycling. They presented their plans to the staff at the faculty meeting and are taking our campus recycling to the next level. We held a food drive 2 weeks ago to provide basics and meals to the families during this holiday season. Last but certainly not least, Del Norte came together and was able to raise over $13,000 for our Adopt a Family program, supporting families at our school. We're extremely proud of the ways our students and families were able to give back to our community as a whole. On a completely different note, ASB is extremely excited to report back an amazing homecoming with the attendance that broke all school records. We're also happy to have Mr. Schultz make an appearance at our homecoming parade on his skateboard, of course. As we look forward to the winter season, we'll be celebrating San Diego winter by holding an informal dance called Neon Paradise, with a tacky tourist apparel recommendation. ASB plans on hosting a spirit week to brighten moods leading into the break, because obviously we're disappointed to have 2 weeks off of school. Thank you for your time. It's great to be distinctively Del Norte.
Next, I'll welcome up from Mount Carmel High School, Tyler Vandenberg. Oh, sorry, Ashley Wood.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Ashley Wood, and I'm the senior class president at Mount Carmel High School. I am here speaking on behalf of Tyler Vandenberg, who unfortunately could not make it today due to his wrestling match. During these past couple weeks, our amazing Sun Devils have truly showed off their Sun Devil pride. Mount Carmel's robotic teams have made great success at their recent competitions, with both of their teams finishing in the top 8. Our awesome field hockey team, along with their first-year coach, had the most successful season to date by making it to the CIF finals for the first time ever and finished as the runner-ups in Division II. Mount Carmel's Performing Arts had a very successful first half of the year with our play, DOA, our dance concert, 4 Seasons, and we will finish off 2018 with a Tall Flags, concert band, and jazz band concerts all next week. The staff has started a discussion on the impact of anxiety and depression on our students and their learning. They are doing so well with the help of Dr. Susan Ryder and Mr. Stan Collins, and together they hope to build trauma-sensitive practices and supports for our school and classrooms. To kick off 2019, our ASB will be welcoming back all of our Sun Devils by rolling out the red carpet and cheering on everyone as they walk back into school. Later into the day, everyone will be attending our winter pep rally inspired by the theme of our winter formal, The Greatest Showman. During this rally, we will be showcasing amazing performances along with our winter varsity sports. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, it's great to be a Sun Devil.
Thank you, Ashley. Next, we'll have from Westview High School, Adrienne McWilliams.
Good evening, PowayUSD Board. It is a pleasure to be reporting to you all again. Overall, Westview has been very busy since I last saw you, and these past few months have been packed with activity. For our seniors, this year's Senior Harbor Cruise was a huge success, and our 2019 class presidents continue working to plan the rest of the year's activities. Our activities commissioners hosted our annual talent show, Westview's Got Talent, which showcased a variety of skilled Wolverines as our community joined us on our amphitheater lawn. Following the successful event, our class was quickly consumed with planning homecoming events. This year, we paid tribute to the iconic decade of the 1950s for our homecoming titled Rock Around the Jukebox. Our annual fun-filled spirit and activity week provided great ways to get involved. After weather conditions led to the cancellation of our halftime show, we presented our floats, court, and performances at SSH a few days later. Sunny skies and excited students ensured that our makeshift halftime was a success, and we announced our senior class as our float building winner. For this year's dance, we sold over 1,300 tickets, with highlights including arcade games, a live band, an LED dance floor, and an ice cream truck. After homecoming, we almost immediately began planning our annual Unity Week, this year titled Same Different as Me. Our culture commissioners helped emphasize to our students to celebrate differences in life experiences and personalities, as diversity is the one true thing we have in common. Our sophomore class heard guest speaker Keith Hawkins, and our teachers got involved by wearing shirts that said "Ask Me Why," which prompted them to share experiences that shaped them. Our community service commissioners hosted the fall blood drive with a larger number of donors than usual, and we're all excited to see the turnout of the next blood drive this spring. We are currently in the midst of our annual 2-week dodgeball tournament and just wrapped up our final game today. A fundraiser for our sophomore class, this annual and much anticipated event helps our sophomore class presidents raise money to plan this year's winter formal. Outside of ASB, Westview's performing arts programs have also been extremely active and successful. Earlier this year, our choir hosted their show Choir Cabaret. Westview Gold recently placed third at Champs for the Southern California School Band and Orchestra Association, and Westview Theater Company performed The Murder Mystery and Then There Were None and sold a record-breaking number of tickets for a single showing of a fall play. Westview Dance Troupe just closed their successful and always anticipated winter show titled All Wrapped Up and are now preparing for competition season. This week, our band has been presenting their winter concert, A Golden Carol, and next week our choir program will perform in their concert entitled A Winter's Ball. All of these talented Wolverines continue to make us proud, and we're excited to see what they achieve throughout the rest of this year. Our Westview athletes have transitioned from fall to winter sports with particularly successful fall seasons for our girls tennis team, who won CIF Division I, and our girls volleyball team, who were runners-up for CIF Division I. One of our girls cross-country runners qualified for the CIF state meet and finished in 23rd place. Also, our friendship basketball game is next Friday at lunch, and some of our athletes will assist our special needs students in playing a basketball game in front of students that come to support. We are very excited to attend this beloved annual event. Lastly, one of our very own Wolverines hosted a wildly successful fundraiser for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Ashley herself qualified for a wish and decided to use it to help others. She partnered with the organization to host a carnival and movie night at a local park and raised over $3,500. Needless to say, we are incredibly proud to have such a dedicated and giving student on our campus. ASB's newly elected executive team is working to build their class with new applicants, and myself and the rest of our ASB seniors are preparing for a bittersweet retirement from the ASB program this January. We look forward to seeing how our new team shapes Westview culture. As my ASB presidency comes to its end, I can't help but be nostalgic of the first time I presented to you all, which had always been a small dream of mine. It has been a true honor to report to you over this past year, and I will really miss updating you on Wolverine culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have item 4.2, public comments. Individuals wishing to address the board regarding an item on the agenda or items of specific concern may do so at this time. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and 15 minutes per topic. Times may be shortened or extended at the direction of the board. Speakers are requested to submit a speaker's slip to the clerk of the board prior to starting the meeting. Clerk?
The first is Gabby Dow.
Students are welcome to leave at this time. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on. You can also stay if you like.
Thank you and good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I can go, right? Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Gabby Dow. I'm the parent of 2 students. And I wanted to first start by thanking all of the staff and teachers at Bernardo Heights Middle School. We had some reservations coming back to Poway Unified and have been very pleasantly surprised. The boys are thriving, straight A's. They love their teachers. They love their classes. And it really couldn't be going any better. And so I'm just very grateful for the principal and the staff and all of the team there who are doing just a really wonderful job. I also want to thank our new board member, Ms. Couvret, representing my district. Welcome, trustee. And before I address what I came here to say, I really do want to also address this notion of no longer rotating positions, because that was something that was very disappointing to see. There is a reason why that's a best practice, and we want our board to follow best practices. And it sounds like a commitment was made. I actually was at that meeting where the commitment was made to go back to rotations where the board could benefit from the wisdom of board members that had been here and had had the experience of many years. And stating that somebody is not ethical and making policy based on that opinion is not something that tends to happen just based on how somebody feels. There are processes for that. Board member Zane went through that process with the City of San Diego Ethics Commission. He was found to be guilty. He was fined. And so there are processes for these things. And that's really what I wanted to speak to today. There need to be significant reviews of some of the things that are happening with this board. There was some concern at the last meeting about a campaign flyer. If there are concerns about past campaigns, and that certainly is something that the community can look at with all of the board members and all of their involvement with different campaign materials, and as I mentioned, ethics violations, actual findings of ethics violations. But the community absolutely will be looking at all of the different items with the appropriate oversight bodies to make sure that this board is acting in accordance with the law and is not acting in self-serving and not recusing themselves from votes that financially benefit them, as it should be. This is what we expect for our taxpayer dollars. This is what we do want to model for our kids and what we expect for our kids. So that is something that will be ongoing, certainly into next year. And I really hope that the new board member can really stick to the facts and can really just look at the actual concrete, evidence-based information in front of you. Unfortunately, this district is running into a very difficult time with budget shortfalls that could lead to cuts in programs and layoffs. It is certainly something that was foreseen. 3 of the board members took the votes that they did, and now we're going to have to suffer the consequences for that. And we are just depending on the ethical, responsible board members to hopefully start to turn this around. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Carrie Talent.
Good evening. This is a really scary spot to be sitting in. I'm a little nervous. I apologize. I've never done this before, and I don't fare well at public speaking. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who do not know us, my wife and I excitedly moved our family of 5 to Poway 5 years ago and purchased our first home here and encouraged our 3 boys to grow roots and their wings here in a community that we thought that they could always call home. Unfortunately, I do not bring good news to you this evening. I'm here to ask for your help. My wife and I are parents of an amazing 9-year-old boy who was a student at Morning Creek Elementary for his TK kindergartner, 1st and 2nd grade years, and we are here today because we have now spent 5 years asking the same people the same questions with little to no answers. As parents, we have been gaslighted, manipulated, lied to, threatened, and intentionally hindered in the support of our son by several Poway employees that are aware of this case. Since the beginning of our son's enrollment, we have begged the same administrators year after year to provide our son, who has a physical disability, with minimal accommodations to have access to his campus restrooms, hand-washing sinks, drinking fountains, the school cafeteria, and to be treated with dignity. Yet, while year after year these same administrators acknowledged the needs and signed legal documents stating that they would provide these necessary items, they failed to follow through with most of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we asked for $20 stools for my son who has dwarfism to reach the bathroom, to reach the drinking fountain, to access food at the cafeteria. Year after year, we were denied these things. And I do not take these things lightly, and I would not be sitting here if I did not have evidential proof. And I am going to respect your rules, and I've actually blacked out the names of the individuals that I was prepared to name this evening. The few accommodations that were provided to our son were absolutely inappropriate, ill-fitting, and physically painful, and humiliating and inhumane. We have filed 4 formal complaints in June of 2018 directly to Mr. Jimenez, and just last week, 6 months later, finally received a response from 3 of the 4 complaints. I don't understand how this is a violation of your policy and procedure as well as state policy and procedure according to Williams versus State of California in 2000. We did have a meeting with Human Resources and Special Education on October 8th where we provided ample factual indisputable evidence both in photographs and audio recordings from separate school years. We believed that an actual investigation would take place and create change within the district. However, based on 3 of your official responses, Mr. Jimenez, it is clear the investigation into our complaints was not taken seriously nor conducted in an unbiased manner, thus resulting in you stating there is no evidence to support any of our claims. My son is...
Can you finish? Yeah, it is. Sorry. Can Shanna Talent please come up?
I'm actually Kari Talent, and that was Shanna Talent. I'm also Logan's mom, and we also have 2 older boys who attend Poway schools currently. Logan is currently not attending Poway schools anymore. And I didn't really prepare anything. As you know, as she just said, we just received the responses to our complaints. Unfortunately, we are going to pursue this because there are currently 3 other students that we personally know of with the same condition that are still suffering from the same issues that our son suffered from, that are affecting them in similar ways and other ways. And this needs to be resolved. We requested disciplinary action, but we also requested change in the schools, training, and other things to happen. But what we want to happen now is an actual investigation to take place. The responses said no evidence was found, yet we provided photos, we provided audio recordings, which the participants were aware of, and I don't know how that conclusion could have been found. So yes, we will be doing the appeal with the state of California, which I know is the next step. But we also want to make you guys aware because, again, this is also affecting other students that are currently in the district, and I don't think that's fair to those students, and I don't think it's fair that students should have to leave the district in order to get what they need. And these, like my wife said, this is stools so that my son can reach the toilet and wash his hands and get water from a drinking fountain. So, like I said, I didn't have anything prepared. I just found out about this meeting. So, if you guys have any questions for me, feel free, but I don't know if that's how this works. Okay. So, I'm done.
Shame on you, Poway Unified. Shame on you.
All right, next speaker.
Can Casey Dominguez come down, please?
Hi, so I just go? Okay, great. So I'm a mom. I have 2 kids in the district. As part of my profession, I also get to read and think and talk about campaigns and campaign ethics, and so that's what I'd like to comment on today. Your campaign ethics matter to us as your constituents, and they matter to everybody. We all know that elections are important. In a democracy, we confer power on you, on our elected representatives, because you are chosen through free and fair elections. And so the way that we conduct these elections matters to how legitimate we all perceive our government to be. And there's lots of questions in the world today about how free and fair our elections are and how ethical our president and other people are, in the way that they're conducting their campaigns. Integrity of elections is up to you, it's up to us, it's up to the public, it's up to the media. Integrity of elections comes from a lot of places. It comes from accurate vote counting, it comes from enforceable election laws, it comes from free speech, it comes from lots of places. But one of the most important parts of a free and fair election that confers legitimacy on you, our elected officials, is that voters have access to truthful information that is presented transparently so that we can make the best choice in the most informed way possible. Obviously, there's a lot of ways where we can get our information. The media is part of that. But you're a big part of how we get information about you when you're running for office. And so your campaigns, you have an obligation to us to ensure that you are substantively honest, that you are transparent in your communications with us. And it's our obligation as well to hold you accountable for your actions. We expect you, as your constituents and as democratic citizens, we expect you to do more than what is minimally legal when you're running a campaign. We expect you to do better than what other people are doing, right? Everybody else does it is not a reason to behave a particular way. We have elected you to oversee the institutions that educate our children. And we want you to be better than average. We want you to be honest and transparent and forthright with us, and it's our obligation to do that as well with you, and that's what I'm doing. So we expect you to be better, and we're watching you. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Can't quite read. Lori McLean? McLaughlin. Sorry about that, McLaughlin.
I know it's me. Hi, everybody. I'm Lori McLaughlin. I'm a PUSD parent and a taxpayer, and I'm really concerned about this. However legal it may be to create and distribute a political hit piece that lies about its source, it is unquestionably unethical. We would not tolerate this behavior on our campuses, by our students or our staff, and yet a board member put this out. This does not represent an impulsive decision. This took planning, it took financing, and it took time to strategically disseminate. At a minimum, it reflects poorly on the board member and their ability to make sound decisions. It has implications about where else a lack of ethics could impact the school board, our students, and our staff. I want to know what the board's doing about this. Will this particular board member be in a position to misrepresent information to the board prior to votes? Will they be in a position to misrepresent information to the community or the staff or our students? The board member did not step down even after reporting of this, which was accurate, created yet another black mark against this board. These two truths, that she produced and disseminated this door hanger, and in the face of accurate and negative publicity for the board she did not step down, tell me that the rest of this board needs to proactively limit her ability to cause other harm. Those are my thoughts. I'm angry. We need you to do better. Thank you.
Next speaker, please. Thank you. Can you please state that into the mic?
There are no other speakers.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to item 5.0, consent calendar. Items listed under consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved or adopted by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. However, any item may be removed from the consent calendar upon request by any member of the board, discussed and acted upon separately. Superintendent and staff recommend approval of all consent items. At this time, are there any items to pull from the board? We'll start at the end.
No.
No items? Board Member Zane?
To pull item 5.1A, the approval of minutes.
Any other items? Board Member Beatty?
Yes, we had a community member on whose behalf I'm going to pull 5.3B. That's all.
5.3b. Any items, Board Member Couvret?
5.2D.
5.2d. Any items, Board Member O'Connor-Ratcliffe?
I don't wish to pull anything, but I did want to make a request on 5.2E. This is the approval of the salary allocation for noon duty assistants. I would like to request from staff that we have some follow-up on this, on the actual cost. I think the estimate there, I received different answers about the actual cost. So some follow-up on the actual cost, and in particular, more interesting to me would be a presentation on the effect that this is having on our sites. I think that's going to take several months to realize what those are, but I think the effects on the sites are going to be something that we really need to hear about in a few months' time. I anticipate problems, but I don't want to pull it. I understand we need it. It's the law. We've got to pass it. So just more information coming forward as we go.
So we're not pulling that item, but we do want follow-up in a future report. Is that it? I have no items to pull at this time.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. That was a first by Board Member Zane and a second by Board Member O'Connor-Ratcliffe. So for consent items, we'll move on to item 5.1A. Board Member Zane?
Thank you, President Patel. There we go. That's the first time it's been said out loud like that. Just requesting that we pull item 5.1A procedurally because Ms. Couvret was not at last month's board meeting, so she would not be able to vote on the approval of minutes as part of the consent agenda. So with that, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the agenda, or approval of the minutes from last month.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Did you get the abstention? Yeah. Board Member Schwartz, did I get your preferential vote?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries with a 4-0-1. Thank you. Next item pulled from consent is item 5.2D. Board Member Couvret.
I was noticing that there's an in-service day on October 28th, which is that Monday, and I know that Halloween falls on a Thursday, and the next day is November 1st, which is a Friday. And I was just wanting more information on why they chose to have the in-service day on the Monday versus the Friday after Halloween, because I know that most kids are a little bit more productive on a Monday than they are the Friday after Halloween, would be my guess. At least mine is.
I would confirm.
Mr. Jimenez?
If Ms. Wesso, Director of Human Resources, is here, I'd like her to share a little bit more.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Superintendent Dr. Phelps. Mr. Todd Casson is one of the many participants in the calendar committee, and one of the things that was considered was basically all of the needs of the sites with regards to what would be the most appropriate way to plan for these additional days. So Mr. Todd Casson can speak to particularly the October 28th date.
Exactly. And first of all, good evening, board members. It's nice to see you, and welcome. This day, if I'm correct, is just a high school professional growth day. And for the last couple of years, we've had those on Fridays. And really, it wasn't bringing Halloween, the day after Halloween, into the conversation. It was more about moving it to a Monday in regards to it's a real disruption to a Friday and the events that go through, and we've done it 2 consecutive years, I believe, on a Friday. So it really was looking to move it to a Monday for the professional growth.
I just want to make sure I heard that right. You moved it to the Monday because the Friday was disrupting school events, school activities?
After school activities, and as you go through, you're getting very close to either the end of a quarter or a trimester. I believe the quarter systems at that time. Also the events afterward in regards to events that students go to.
Okay.
And regarding on a Friday evening.
So there was no consideration of the possibility of increased ADA on that day if we were to take the day after Halloween
It really
instead?
wasn't around Halloween. It was really about the day of the week.
Okay.
So would there be a problem with moving it back to Friday for this particular year because of when it falls?
I think we can always look at that. Yeah.
We can table it, or it clearly says on the calendar that provides flexibility and that notice to parents, community, that staff should be aware that it may be subject to modifications. So
That's
it is
correct.
still open
it
to that.
hasn't been published yet, so it's based on your recommendations that we would make adjustments.
The board could approve it with asking staff to relook and go back and look at that.
So with that, I would like to make a motion to approve with the request that staff take another look at that date.
Sure.
And also keep in mind aligning with lower grade levels for other optional professional growth days for ADA purposes.
Can I ask a question really fast? Wait, so is this before it's being published? Like we're looking at it before it's being published completely?
Yes.
All right.
So there's a motion. Do I have a second? You need to use your mic.
I'll second that.
Could you clarify the motion?
The motion is to approve the calendar as presented with the caveat that the calendar is subsequent to modifications. May be subsequent to modifications.
Well, with the request for staff
With
to
the
go back and
request,
take a look at.
yeah, with a specific request to look at the non-student day on October 28th.
To possibly moving it back to a Friday.
To possibly move it back to a Friday. That is the whole motion. Sorry.
And remember, this is just high school only.
Right.
I would
So I need
request
to
that
restate
when,
the motion.
Yeah, I would request that when that goes back, if we pass this right now as stated, I would request that you consider the attendance gains, potential attendance gains for moving it to that Friday, because I assume we have a lot of at least early first and second period absences the day after Halloween that we might obviate if they had that day off anyway.
It's also discussed as a senior ditch day as well. So you may just, it's an honest truth.
So with all these comments in mind, we cannot approve this. We can vote it down and bring it back next month. Right, so we would have to vote down the motion. There's a motion on the floor with a second.
It sounded to me as though the motion allowed for it to be moved anyway, so can't we just move forward with the motion?
Sure. There is a motion. Do I have a second? Yes. There is a second. So I'll take the vote at this time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. With Jake's preferential vote, aye.
Now we know where senior ditch day is. So.
Next item on the consent calendar that was pulled was 5.3B. Board Member Beatty?
So as stated, this was on behalf of a community member, and this is specific to line items 22 and 47, and she was making a recommendation that perhaps these backpack racks, the construction of those could be done by Boy Scouts as part of an Eagle Scout project. So my question to staff, and perhaps it's a question to our facilities director, is this perhaps a feasible activity that could be done in coordination between the two groups?
The staff will have to look at the different laws around safety and ed code that allows whether or not such structures are considered hazard or not, and staff will have to get back to you with a response, but we'll look into that.
Thank you. No further questions. So I will move to approve.
I'll second, and just add, I appreciate Ms. Beatty pulling that item. Ms. Janet Latang was the one who had sent us some comments on that. And I have actually had some conversations with the local district, Scout district, to look at ways in which possibly we can build, even if it's an online ability for principals or whomever throughout the district to post their desires, if you will, for projects at their respective sites that prospective Eagle Scout candidates can go to and take a look at what projects are out there for their consideration. So I'm happy to work with whomever in furtherance of that. Thank you.
With that, we have a motion and a second. Can I, Jake, would you like to make, Board Member Schwartz, would you like to cast your preferential vote?
Aye.
Board members, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? None? With that, item 5.3B carries 5-0. Next, with that, consent calendar is complete. We'll move on to item 6.0, personnel support services. Item 6.1. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Madam President. This resolution proposes the elimination of one vocational development specialist position within our special education department, which is an 11.5-month position currently. This position, however, is currently vacant, and with the elimination would have no impact on any current classified employees. Currently, the special education department has two other vocational development specialist positions that are currently 10.5 months. This recommended reduction of the vacant position will be used to offset the increase of the other two existing positions to 11 months, which would better support the needs of students in the instructional program. The board is asked to approve the resolution for the elimination of one vocational development specialist position.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? With that, we'll take the vote. Hearing no discussion, we'll take the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion 6.1 carries 5-0. The next item is item 6.2. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Madam President. Annually, the district must report whether its workers' compensation liability is completely funded. Under Labor Code, we are to notify the Board of Education within 90 days of submitting the Workers' Compensation Public Insurer's Annual Report for the fiscal year 2017-2018. This determined liability are for those estimated future costs for medical treatment of injured workers. Due to the history of workers' compensation programs here at Poway Unified School District, there are two separate reporting requirements. The reason being is that from 1998 through 2005, Poway Unified was self-insured for the workers' compensation program. That means all costs, including reserves, were borne directly by Poway Unified School District. Since 2005, Poway Unified has joined a pool under a joint powers authority under Keenan and Associates, where our premiums are pooled with other districts to cover actual and anticipated future costs for workers' compensation. To date, the district liabilities for both the self-insured period and the current pool-funded period are covered by appropriate reserves. Additionally, all claims are compliant with the GASB 10 Governmental Accounting Standards Board reporting requirements in the state of California. This item is for informational purposes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7.0, business support services. Mr. Little.
Thank you, President Patel. This evening we present for the board's consideration and approval the district's first interim financial report for 2018-2019. As you know, this is one of two interim reports that we are required to prepare and submit to San Diego County Office of Ed each year. And so in the next few slides, we will compare our current board-approved budget for the year with our first interim projections. These, as you know, are delineated in detail in the SACS reports provided to you, and that has been available for public viewing this evening, and which will be posted on our website. So let's begin by reviewing our general fund, unrestricted and restricted revenues. You can see that we are anticipating close to $1.9 million of increased revenues. That's the bottom right-hand cell there. A slight uptick in LCFF revenues, based on some minor adjustments, and local revenues, but the bulk of which, nearly $1.7 million of additional state revenues. These additional state revenues are comprised of one-time grants. These are restricted grants. We received this year a little over $1.4 million for low-performing students block grant resources, which the district has 3 years to expend on those students. We received one-time money in the amount of $225,896 for the Classified School Employee Professional Development Block Grant, and a little over $5,700 for Agricultural Career Tech Ed Incentive Grant. Turning our attention to the general fund expenditures, we would expect, obviously, at least $1.67 million of offsetting expenditures from the new state grants that we just reviewed. So these expenses were budgeted in supplies and contracted services for now and will be moved as budgets are developed for those particular restricted grants. The remaining expenditure adjustments result primarily from carryover being redirected from primarily the books and supplies lines to other lines. So overall, you'll notice an increase in our expenditures of a little over $1.5 million. We wanted to provide an interesting graphic of how our general fund expenditures, based on our first interim projections, are deployed. You can see 83% deployed for salaries and benefits, 9% for services, 6% for books and supplies, and 2% for capital outlay. You may recall that normally our salaries and benefits make up about 85 to 86% of our general fund budget. This is slightly decreased due to the fact that we have $13 million of prior year carryover being budgeted in other expenses other than salary and benefits. This slide compares the net activity between our current board-approved budget and our first interim projected budget, and assumes all of the $13 million that I just referenced of prior year carryover is expended. If all $13 million of prior year carryover is expended, we project our expenditures exceeding our revenues by a little over $16 million in the current year. You can see compared to our board budget approved last month that the net position has improved slightly. Looking ahead, we have provided some multi-year projections out through 2021, 2022, based on the basic fiscal assumptions noted on the top half of the slide. You can see our attendance rate. Our enrollment growth is pretty flat. We've adjusted them downward based on the current year's numbers. Our attendance rate, fairly flat. Obviously, the funded ADA is just a function of the first two rows. Our unduplicated pupil percentage, again, fairly flat. And the state-funded COLA this year, as you know, was over and above the statutory COLA by about 1.2%. For the out years, we're projecting what the LEO and School Services of California project to be the statutory COLAs. All that being said, you'll note that the same net activity of approximately a negative $10 million that we have been talking about for the past few months continues each year into the foreseeable future. This slide indicates the impacts on the district's general fund reserves and reserve level as a result of those deficits. You may recall the staff has maintained that a 10% reserve level represents the minimum that we should preserve to ensure ample cushion and flexibility vis-a-vis the next major economic downturn. You can see in the out years, if no changes are made by 2021, 22, our reserve levels are a little over 3%. So what would it take to maintain a 10% reserve level next year, 2019, 2020? Based on current assumptions, we would need to identify budget solutions of approximately $5.5 million as we develop next year's budget. These could be a combination of revenue enhancements and expenditure reductions. So next steps, as you know, next month we will receive the new governor's budget proposal for 2019-2020. We'll work with our planning team and our finance team and our HR team in terms of staffing and our management and our administration, budget planning. In March, we will bring back to the board the second interim budget. The County Office of Ed requires us to submit with that interim any budget solutions that we anticipate in implementing for the following fiscal year. So we hope to have most of those identified if possible. Then the governors may revise, of course, will refine the fiscal assumptions, and then we'll bring back the final 2019-2020 budget for the board's approval at the end of June. So for this evening, we're asking that the board certify the SACS data, the first interim financial data. Thank you to the finance team for all their hard work. You're certifying that what we share is accurate and that the district is capable of meeting its financial obligations in the current year and the 2 subsequent years. By doing so, we'll authorize also our adjustments to all of the budget lines as noted. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Does the board have any questions at this time?
I just have one comment. Thank you, Mr. Little, for the presentation and the charts. So just a comment as we do go forward, and I know it's on the agenda to look at some of these numbers at the board budget workshop in January, and we are seriously going to need to deal with the quickly eroding reserve. So of note, next year, without doing anything, salaries for district staff will increase $2.3 million. Health insurance benefits will increase $1.5 million. Our pension liability will increase $3.8 million, and other employee benefits will increase $580,000. That's without doing anything. We have staff salary and benefit increases of over $8 million. So that's something to be cognizant of when we have to move forward and make some serious decisions. Thank you.
Any other questions? With that, I'll take a motion. Motion to approve.
Second.
With a motion by Board Member O'Connor-Ratcliffe and a second by Board Member Beatty, I'll take the vote. All those in favor? Preferential vote to Board Member Schwartz?
Aye.
Board members? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion 7.1 carries 5-0.
Thank you.
And next is item 7.2 with an information item, 2019-2020 Budget Development Workshop. Mr. Little.
Yes, thank you again, President Patel. As you know, the board has requested a budget workshop be conducted in January of 2019. Our last budget workshop was conducted in April of 2018, and at that time staff presented data on enrollment, class size, special ed budgets, budget standards for the schools, STIRS and PERS costs, to Trustee Beatty's point, counselor expenditures, other programmatic expenditures, CT, et cetera, just to list a few. At that time, staff also presented for a second time the recommendations that our Budget Advisory Committee had made after reviewing the district's financial position for many months. And since then, as you know, we've implemented many of them, but not all. And we've implemented them with positive results. Some of those that we've implemented have been a district-wide focus on attendance, revamping the facilities use program, offering an early retirement incentive to our teachers, and centralizing custodial purchasing. So this evening, staff seeks direction from the board with respect to what data it would like to review at the January budget workshop to facilitate the conversation around resource allocation.
Thank you. I'll start at the end. Board Member Schwartz.
Can you come back to me? I just need to think about it for a minute.
Okay, it's just I guess it's just a discussion. We can go in any order. Do we have any items to add or feedback for staff?
I think we have to start somewhere, right? So appreciate all that, and it's hard to believe there was only April of 2018 where we had that workshop. Seems as though it was much longer ago. But one of the things that I also appreciated about it was the first time since my time on the board that such information was presented in such a way that we really had a better understanding of it. And so I look forward to another workshop with your data and presentations and charts, et cetera. My hope is that as we go through this process, and whether it's late January or early February, that we really take a hard look at as much of the budget as possible, as many line items of the budget as possible, with a mindset of is it consistent with our core mission of the district? And with that, I'd like very much to see some sort of presentation on the various programs that the district is undertaking. Maybe talk about their efficacy, as well as their efficiency, frankly. And maybe that serves as a good starting point in some of our conversations.
Thank you, Board Member Zane. Any other feedback?
I have a list. I think the main thing that I'm interested in, we've talked about our very significant carryover to this year, and I feel like we have carryover every year. I would like to better understand where our carryover is coming from. Is it certain departments? Is it every site? Where does the carryover come from? What are our options with that carryover money, or is it really tied to where it started the year before? Can we put it back into our general fund? I'd like a better understanding of carryover. You mentioned budget standards that we talked about it in April. I'd love to go back to budget standards too, because I know that that's one of those things that has been chopped and brought back and chopped and brought back, and it may be on the chopping block again. And I'd like to understand better actually what each site is doing with it. I know what they're statutorily allowed to do with it, but what are they actually doing with it? I think that will help us decide how critical those funds are, as opposed to other parts and things in the budget that we might find to cut. I have more on my list, but I'll defer to other people who have thoughts before I do any more.
Thank you. Maybe somewhat related to that, I'd also be interested in seeing, maybe in line with the programs side of things, what are we doing as a district that other districts in San Diego County are doing, that other districts are not? Because there might be some areas where we're going above and beyond where we don't need to, and as a result, we're spending more money than we have. And then I'll also add in there, and I think we've had this conversation once briefly before, I think there might be some benefit, although I appreciate the notion that we generally try to run lean and mean as a district, but a contract review. Any governmental entity, particularly of this size and this size budget, presumably has a significant number of contracts with vendors. And I would think that there's an opportunity for savings in that pile of contracts.
While we're waiting for other board members to gather their thoughts, I have two items I'd like to add. One is we've been working with Guidepost Solutions to look at our facilities. I'd like to know where we're at on the facilities plan and just look long-term at what our facilities needs are. Make sure we have a good oversight of how that's going to impact our budget, as well as our textbook adoption schedule. I'd like to see that as part of the discussion as well, because I know there's been a lot of discussion about textbooks, world languages, next generation science standards. There's a lot of textbooks coming our way. So I'd like to have a long-range view of that. Thank you. Any other board member comments? Board Member Schwartz?
I just wanted to say that I don't necessarily have too much knowledge on the subject, so I don't want to necessarily give any ideas without having prior knowledge to it. But if I could be included in the meeting itself, that would be, and if the information given to me, that would be fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. Any other comments? Board Member Beatty?
So, as I understand it, the bottom line is we're being asked to make $5.5 million worth of cuts As we all know, it's a zero-sum game, and short of salary rollbacks, there aren't that many choices that we can make. Historically, the boards have always been unanimous in the idea that we want to make the cuts occur as far away from the kids and the classrooms and the student programs as we possibly can. So with that in mind, I would be interested in looking at an organizational chart, the current organizational chart as it stands, with the idea of looking for any potential efficiencies. I'm also curious to see a comparison with the chart from years ago. I don't have a specific year in mind, so whatever, if it's a chart from 2015 or 2013, I'm fairly flexible, but it would be nice to have some sort of basis of comparison, and I would defer to staff with regard to the time period. Historically, also, travel expenses, conferences, that has been curtailed as a cost-saving measure. So I would like to get an estimate 12 to 18 months, say over the last year and a half, what have our district staff board member travel expenses been, those the total costs. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member O'Connor-Ratcliffe? I think one of the last things that I feel like we haven't touched on, too, when we're talking about programmatic things, I know that we have some VAPA committee recommendations. They would be new, I'm assuming, but I would like to see what they are and see if they fit in, if something, comes out to put them in, if they're budget neutral, how they fit in here, because I know they're important to a lot of our students and a lot of our communities. So I would love to see those analyzed somewhere in the budget workshop. And on behalf of a community member, again, who brought it up, if there are any effects on that OPEB irrevocable trust that we've talked about, that we can talk about, and that would affect our budget, that'd be nice to talk about, too.
Thank you.
If there are no other comments at this time, we can move on to item 7.3. It's an information item, enrollment report number 3/2018-2019. Mr. Little.
Thank you, President Patel. Yes, this is our third month report for the period ending November 9th, 2018. And compared to month one of this year, we have a net loss of 3 students. You can see some increases at elementary and middle school and some decreases at our high school and NPSs. The attendance rate for month 3 was 97.12%, so still above our budgeted 96.8%. The average so far this school year is 97.44%, which is pretty much on target of where we were this time last year with respect to our ADA and our attendance rates.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Do we have any comments or questions at this time from the board? All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 8.0, Learning Support Services. Item 8.1 is an action item, ratification of stipulated agreements for student expulsions.
Thank you, President Patel.
Mrs. Osborne, sorry.
Thank you, President Patel. Tonight we bring forward 3 stipulated agreements for board approval.
We'll take these individually. Do I have a motion on the first one? Case number 2018-2019.03.
Motion to approve.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I know that we can't really discuss this at this time, but I do have some issues and some questions I wanted to ask about a couple of these and didn't have an opportunity, and I can't do it now. I'd love to see these become a regular thing in our closed session, just to check in with board members if they have a question on these items. So since these are stipulated agreements, I'm willing to approve them, but in the future I'd love to see them on our closed session, just to give us the option to talk about them in a private way to respect our students' privacy.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second.
Just point of clarification, was Ms. Couvret privy to these to the information? Or, you're-
Again, we have a motion and a second. I'd like to call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Item 7.1, case number 2018-2019.03, carries 5-0. The next case, case number 2018-2019.04. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Case number 2018-2019.04 carries 5-0. Next, case number 2018-2019.05. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second? Second. On a motion by Board Member Zane, second by Board Member O'Connor-Ratcliffe, case number 2018-2019.05 carries 5.0. Thank you. We will now move on to item 8.2, action item, readmission of students on expulsion. Ms. Osborne.
Thank you. Tonight we bring forward 4 readmissions for board approval.
Start with case number 2017-2018.12. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Case number 2017-2018.12 carries 5-0. Next is case number 2017-2018.22. Can I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Case number 2017-2018.22 on a motion by Board Member Zane, second by Board Member O'Connor-Ratcliffe, carries 5.0. Case number 2017-2018.31. Can I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Case number 2017-2018.31 on a motion by Board Member Zane, second by O'Connor-Ratcliffe. Motion carries 5.0. Case number 2017-2018.32. Can I hear a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Case number 2017-2018.32 on a motion by Board Member Beatty, second by O'Connor-Ratcliffe. Board Member Zane, second by Board Member Zane. With a vote of 5.0, the motion carries. Moving on to item 8.3. This is a first reading, approval by the district level Title I, Part A, Parent and Family Engagement Policy. First reading. Ms. Osborne.
Thank you. The Every Student Succeeds Act ensures that local educational agencies and schools provide parents and families of Title I students with the information they need to make well-informed choices for their children, including more effectively sharing responsibility for their child's success and helping their children's school develop effective and successful programs. Suggestions for the policy were gathered from our Title I school site councils, district advisory committee members, and through the LCAP stakeholder engagement processes implemented at sites during the 2017-18 school year. A draft of the Parent and Family Engagement Policy was approved at the December 2018 District Advisory Committee. Tonight we bring the district level Title I Part A Parent and Family Engagement Policy as a first reading.
Do we have any questions from the board at this time? Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Osborne. Last item under 8.0 is 8.4, information item, California School Dashboard, State Indicators. Ms. Osborne?
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight we bring forward as an information item the California School Dashboard State Indicators. The California School Dashboard is an online tool that shows how local educational agencies and schools are performing on the state and local indicators included in the California School Accountability System. The dashboard is a key part of the state's accountability system and places the focus on equity for all students. We are very proud to report that Poway Unified continues to demonstrate very high academic performance in English language arts, mathematics, college career readiness, and our graduation rate. As our data that we presented in November showed, We do have room for improvement for our African American and Latino students, as well as our students with disabilities in both language arts and mathematics. We also saw a slight increase in our suspension rate last year. In anticipation of this need, our team has taken action to reduce suspensions by updating and training staff with a new discipline handbook that includes other means of correction support. We're also engaging sites with implementing positive behavior interventions and supports, or PBIS, which we plan to expand to all schools. As you know, improving student attendance is a focus this year. Poway Unified was reported to have medium chronic absenteeism rate, with 5.8% of our students being absent for 10% of the year. In comparison to the previous year, this rate increased by 1.4%, and this placed our district at the orange performance level. LSS is currently working with sites to review their school dashboards and engage staff and parents with goal setting and improvement efforts. These goals will be reflected in the SPSAs that we will bring forward for your review in February. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Osborne. Any questions from the board at this time? Board Member Schwartz?
I just had a quick question. Was there a common reason for the suspensions? Why it increased? Was it one reason, or is it just?
It's multiple reasons, because it's all of our students across all of our schools, and so that's what we're looking at as well, is what are the patterns and trends, and how do we look at other means of correction to provide support so that we are reducing our suspensions and finding alternatives, such as PBIS, restorative practices, so that we are reducing those suspensions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those were the two, that definitely stood out. It was the 1.6% student suspension last year, as well as the 5.8% chronic absenteeism, defined as 10% or more absences in a school year. That just seems very high. I thought we had hired I can't remember the name of the employee, truancy, yes. So that hasn't helped.
So we have a new attendance liaison, and we are looking at increasing how he works with our schools, because we did look at how is that role supporting our families that have chronic absenteeism, and so we are increasing the home visits and also working with our sites to increase the supports that they provide for monitoring that, so that we can act more quickly when we start to see the patterns of absence.
So that's, just to do the math, there's 180 school days, so 10%, that's 18 or more days. So somewhere in there, I don't know at what point there's an intervention, and I guess the truancy officer is supposed to go to the house or
We're also looking at our OCIS contracts, because we did find that we're not consistently using the OCIS contracts, and so we have gone out and met with a couple of those sites to remedy that. I know that Board Member Schwartz visited one of our schools, and so we are working to ensure that if families are in fact taking vacations for extended periods of time, that we are using the OCIS contract to recoup that attendance, and so that we don't lose that ADA, and that we have accountability for the attendance through the OCIS process.
So it's not all, say, students who just are in trouble, and it's the family going to Disney World.
Correct, that is correct.
Some of it.
All of those are unexcused absences that we are trying to improve.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no further questions, that takes us to 11.0. Superintendent, Dr. Phelps.
Thank you. At the September 13th school board meeting, Ms. Beatty asked that we place this item on the October board meeting for review and discussion. On the October board meeting, Ms. Beatty submitted the recommendations to Board Bylaws 9323. The board asked to see the recommended changes in red line form, and that it be brought back to the December board meeting. Trustee Beatty's red line recommendations were provided to the board for Board Bylaws 9323 for your review, and now it's for your consideration whether to approve her recommended changes.
Any discussion?
Just one comment. I wanted to thank Superintendent Phelps. I noticed on the agenda for this month that the closed session items were highlighted in bold. So I wanted to thank you for that.
In looking at these changes, I think there was a bit of duplication in here that Board Member Beatty tried to get. I think some of it got lost, though. I don't think this is exactly how we want to fix it. Some of this was straight out of the CSBA board policy, and it's redlined. And some of it was moved, and it looks good, but we still have a discrepancy here where we have public input on each item to 15 minutes, and another spot where it's 15 minutes per side, and another spot with 15 minutes per side. I don't think this is fixed to the level that we need it fixed. I'm not comfortable with voting to approve the changes when I don't think we got all of them. I would prefer to ask that staff bring something back in January and perhaps go to the model CSBA policy, start with that, and just insert our organization of board agenda for regular meetings. I think that should get the changes and clean it up, because the discrepancy in the time allotment for public input doesn't, that has to be fixed. That's not fixed in this. I don't think this is perfect, and if we're going to adopt something new, I want the new adoption to be perfect so we don't have to do it again.
Any further comment?
I think I generally agree with those comments. It could be tighter. I would prefer to just move forward with CSBA's recommendations. Because it's gone back and forth a few times, and even if it came back a third or fourth time, this to me is kind of the epitome of a horse by committee as a camel. And this is looking like a camel right now, so let's see what horse CSBA has, and we can bet on that horse in January.
So I'd note in there that in comparing these side by side, only this board agenda format, really, that's the only major thing that CSBA's sample policy actually says, insert your own. This should be personalized to each district, and we did that here. So I wouldn't want to just go straight to the spot where it has a bracket that says, put your stuff in here, and we don't do that.
Sure.
So
what we did was we just took what Mrs. Beatty's recommended changes were, but if board would like, we can take what she's recommended, look at CSBA's, and give a staff recommendation. That's up to the board's purview.
I just can't vote for something that has inconsistencies within it currently, with the 15 minutes for each side versus 15 minutes total to each item. I'm not gonna vote on a change that still has that inconsistency.
Is there a motion at this time?
I'd make a motion that we ask staff to bring something back in January, because the inconsistency is in there. It's just still in the changes as well. So I would ask that the inconsistencies be fixed by staff. Please do start with the model CSBA policy, put in our personalized board agenda format where it calls for it. Make sure we don't have that inconsistency again on this third try, and I think we've got it.
Second.
So I'm going to try to capture what that motion was.
I think what Ms. O'Connor Radcliffe's motion is to have staff go back, revisit it, and look at the board policy again, starting with CSBA, including and looking at the considerations that Ms. Beatty and the staff have tried to personalize. But instead of bringing it back at January, I would ask that we bring it back in February with the consideration, because there's so many holidays between now and then a lot of holiday days, and we have the budget workshop that we're planning for, that some of these board policies take a lot of time to really look at.
So with that as the motion for Board Bylaws 9323, I have a motion and a second. call the vote at this time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Board preferential vote?
Aye.
So is the board, just to clarify, the board is okay with us bringing this in February, is that correct? Thank you. So now we're moving on to item 12.0, reports and comments. We'll go to board member reports. We'll start at the end. Board member Schwartz.
Hello, everyone, and to the few students in the front. It's been a great month serving as a PUSD student board member. I was lucky enough to join the other board members at the CSBA AEC conference in San Francisco. Here I was a part. Oh, I'm sorry. Here I was a part of a specialized program made specifically for student board members. And really what that was is attending different lectures with these other student board members inside the conference, and really getting to know each other and really find your resources that you have across the state and really meet these new and very different people. And what I saw from them was really that as a district, we are extremely different than other districts that we would consider similar by the ways that we run, and especially by the opportunities that we give to our student board members. For example, a lot of boards didn't give their students even preferential voting, and then since it is a new amendment, is mandatory now, they all were shocked. And I was very proud to be a part of a district that is already so far ahead and is always proactive in areas like that. Along with that, I learned plenty of things. I'm not going to go too in depth about them because I'm sure that the other board members are going to go over them as well. But really the most important thing I learned from this conference was that I was reminded that the other board members are real people and that they have their own professionalism and personalities at the same time that really are just fun to be around, and just really sometimes we forget that our elected officials are people and that they all have individual characteristics, and it was really great just getting to know them better on a more personal level, and that way I can better work with them the rest of this year to accomplish greater things.
Thank you. Board member Zane.
Thank you, and thank you, Jake. Actually, it's worth noting that Jake was the only student board rep from the county of San Diego at the CSBA conference in San Francisco, so that was really cool that Poway Unified was represented in that way. First, I just briefly want to say thank you. Thank you for the privilege and the honor the past year of having served as board president. It was quite the experience, and I enjoyed utilizing that role to tackle some initiatives of personal interest. And I still have every intent on pursuing, advocating, and working on school safety as one such issue moving forward. So I thank you for your support. Since last board meeting, which was on November 8th, we did attend. Several of us attended the State of the District breakfast, the first of its kind. Maybe next year State of the Lunch or State of the District Luncheon as opposed to breakfast. That was pretty early. It was great all the same. It was a great event. Just a couple days later, it was a pleasure to attend the RB Community Foundation Luncheon in Rancho Bernardo, where we met with a number of leaders in Rancho Bernardo who are doing great things throughout the community. Then, of course, we had Thanksgiving break. I did some camping and built some very big campfires with my kids. They love that. They all still have their eyebrows, so it's all good. Again, we mentioned the CSBA conference in San Francisco. I know that there will be additional substantive reports on that trip as we go down the line here. But to echo Jake's comments, it was a great opportunity for team building and getting to know each other better. On the 7th of December, it was a privilege. I had a lot of fun attending the PSCA holiday party, and learned a lot about bells that evening too, by the way, just as an aside. Just learned a lot about bells, just FYI. And on the 11th, I briefly attended. I was just the other day. I was here for a meeting with Dr. Phelps, and on my way out to another engagement, I was happy to stop in and just check in on the work that's being done by the District Safety Committee, grab some of their handouts, which I've had an opportunity to review. They were broken into two groups. One group was working on communications and student awareness, procedures for the flow of info in case of an incident or emergency, how to inform students about safety and the tip line, mass communication system using technology and social media to inform and communicate in a proactive way for students and staff, as well as the other group that was working on site safety plans, with their top 3 concerns being improving perimeter security, increase and easily identify campus security, and elevated first aid kits. So very happy to see that the work of those community volunteers is continuing. I really enjoy working with them and Mr. Mizell in that work. Lastly, I'll just say I also recently collected a resolution that I'll ask Dr. Patel and Dr. Phelps to consider placing on next month's agenda, a resolution for civic learning for all students, something that has been put forward by the San Diego Civic Partnership. I believe it was last year I attended a meeting down at the San Diego County Office of Education with representatives from throughout the county to talk about the importance of civics education in school districts throughout the county. Several districts have already adopted this resolution, and I'll be forwarding a copy of it for board review. But those districts already include Bonsall Union, Carlsbad, Chula Vista Elementary School District, Encinitas Union, Grossmont Unified, Humboldt del Sur, La Mesa Spring Valley, San Diego Unified, San Pasqual Unified, Spencer Valley, South Bay Union, Sweetwater, and Warner Springs. So there's quite a few districts in the county who are already pursuing this and emphasizing the importance of civics education in their district. And something I'd like to see even longer term. I've had a couple conversations about this with Dr. Phelps, is I'd really like to see if there's a possibility within our district of incorporating some sort of benchmark. Maybe it's at the sophomore level, I don't know, that's to be determined, that utilizes what is the United States citizenship test. And not as a requirement for graduation, but it'd be an interesting thing to utilize as a benchmark for our students, just to see how well we are teaching them the fundamentals as they progress through and before they graduate high school. So, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Zane. Board Member Beatty?
Good evening. I also enjoyed the Rancho Bernardo community luncheon that I have enjoyed in past years. It's a wonderful event in which they present to designated charities grants so that they can continue their good works. And I'm hoping the charity I'm heavily involved with, the Community Food Connection, will apply and receive one next year. And I also just wanted to make a brief mention to staff, and I had also had received, as other board members had, an email from the community member inquiring about the other post-employment irrevocable trusts, OPEB accounts. And the community member reminded the board that during our October board meeting, 3 board members had asked for this item to be returned with proposals to present to the board. And so she is requesting that this be brought back as part of the budget workshop and also presented at the January board meeting, and I wanted to convey that. I did not go to the CSBA event in San Francisco. I'm doing my part to help with cost cutting in the district. And I hope, on a personal note, as we enjoy the students who were the honorees for the FACE program, the Fraternity of Academic and Civic Excellence, the highest achievers that are on display in the hallway, that my youngest son, his picture and his bio is out there. Unfortunately, he did not get into Princeton early decision, but he's hoping for a positive result in a few months. And also of note, my husband is the cross-country coach volunteer coach at Black Mountain Middle School. This year, all 7 of our middle schools had intramural cross-country teams. As one parent presented, I think it was last month or the month before, this is just an absolutely fantastic program for our middle schoolers, which is usually a challenging time period in our students' lives. To go out in these programs attract well over 100 students at all levels of ability. So it's just a great program for our students to get out and have a positive, healthy, both physical as well as mentally healthy focus. So those, the intramurals cross-country programs came to an end, and they had their season end parties. And I hope that we are able to sustain these programs either through parent volunteers through the PTA or ACES. That if these the funding that helps to drive these programs goes away, that we definitely make it a priority as we move forward to sustain these intramurals. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Beatty. Board Member Couvret.
So I'm aware I have a huge learning curve up here, and I was lucky enough to go up to the California School Board Association conference. And what was great about it was the first day was for all the newbies, and there were 401 of us. So it was an extremely valuable day of just, really getting some good questions that I can bring back and ask the professionals up here and really jump in. Also, it was very nice, again, for the team building and to find out why people are doing this with their time, and the passions that we have up here at the board is very exciting, and I think we can really move the district forward. So also, I see Kathleen back there too. Lots of good stuff on CTE, so I was super excited, and I went to all those specific conferences because that's kind of my passion as well. I went to the Thanksgiving, the Rancho Bernardo Thanksgiving luncheon as well, and I don't know if it was public knowledge, but Chaparral won $5,000 grant for their reading program, so that was really exciting for them to get the $5,000 for that program. And the state of the district here was phenomenal, and I can't believe it was the first time because it was such a nice showcase for our community and for our city and community leaders to see what we're doing. I was invited to go to the Poway Robotics Spider program at Poway High School, and it's really exciting what they're doing. With this first global challenge, they're actually mentoring teams in Paraguay and Africa, and actually a group of 5 of them went down to Paraguay over Thanksgiving and supported them with their own little robots and Skype all the time and really do some really cool outreach. They're also mentoring over 20 other teams in our district, bringing it even down to the elementary school level, which is where we want those programs to start. Also, as we know, there's a gender gap in STEM, and they have started 2 different women's clubs within their organization. One is the Society of Women Engineer, and the other one is the National Center for Women in Information Technology. So it's really exciting to see these kids being proactive to get more women involved in this organization. And then finally, I had a fun one. I think I want to be the pajama board member because I got to go to Sunset Hills on Pajama Day, and that's like the coolest thing ever. So I got to go to their Terrific Thursday, celebrate good character, citizenship, and school pride. I did not wear my pajamas, but I'm thinking about it. Yeah, next time. But they really have adopted the No Excuses University, and I have to say, I went to UCSD, and they said "Go Titans" louder than anyone at UCSD ever did. So it was super cool. So that's my wrap up.
Thank you, Board Member Couvret. Board Member O'Connor-Ratcliffe.
I'm excited to be starting my a new 4-year term on the board. I absolutely loved having my family here to hang out with me up there during my swearing in. Which hand? Yeah. They're my first and biggest reason for doing this work, so I was really happy that they came because you'll never see them again for another 4 years. So it was nice to have them here. Want to say welcome to Ms. Couvret. Congratulations on being nearly finished with your first board meeting, and it's all downhill from here. No, really. I really enjoyed getting to know Ginger up at CSBA conference. That was some phenomenal team building, and I think we've heard something about that. It is also, though, one of the few opportunities that board members have for professional learning. The offerings were extremely varied, and there are multiple days you can hit everything you can think of. I attended every single special education presentation offered, which was a total of 3, and that's an eye roll. Yes, it was a little disappointing for me, since it is such a huge part of modern education and potentially so immediately relevant to us right here in Poway Unified and what we're trying to accomplish here. I thought there was a lot of opportunity that was missed to share with districts like ours some innovative things that are happening around the state. But even without much attention paid to it at the conference, we have so much momentum here in Poway Unified. I'm fired up about our Special Education Advisory Committee. There are some recommendations that group has been working on for over a year for improving inclusivity in our specialized academic instruction delivery model. It's exciting, and I think like anybody who knows what's going on in that area right now, I'm eagerly awaiting the announcement of our model schools. Excited to hear about those volunteer sites, and you better believe I'll be staying on top of that. These are important shifts in the way that we educate all of our kids, and I'm excited. Again, we're doing great things here in PUSD, and the more people that know about them, the better. So to that end, I'll echo again what several others have said here. I cannot believe it was the inaugural State of the District event, but it was incredible. It was incredibly successful and just plain incredible. So kudos to Dr. Phelps and the team, and particularly Ms. Peck over there. Fabulously done. Want to especially note Westview's choir performing This Is Me, and the 8th grade speaker from Meadowbrook, Kiara Bowser. I hope I can learn to speak as well as she did someday. It is high time we started this tradition, really. We're showcasing our accomplishments, our strategic initiatives, goals for the future, stories of excellence and innovation, just like the flyer said. It really made me proud to be part of Team PUSD. So bigger and better in year 2. No pressure, Christine? All right. And lastly, as we move into our winter break here, I hope everyone is having and continues to have a joyous holiday season. If you haven't yet, get out to one or more, albeit more than one, of our school sites for some great mood-enhancing winter performances. We've got band and orchestra. We've got choir, dance. I'm sure there are a bunch of other ones. If sports gets you going, they're still happening too in some venues. You will never regret spending time seeing our students doing what they love. Every time I come out of there, just, this is the best place to be. So happy holidays to everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Board Member O'Connor-Ratcliffe. Good evening, staff, families, and community members. I want to start with saying welcome to newly elected Board Member Couvret. Welcome, and I hope this is going to be a great year for us. Since we last met, I've attended and participated in several school site and board-related events throughout our community. In my report tonight, I will highlight only a couple. First, I want to give kudos to Dr. Phelps and her staff for putting on a very successful inaugural State of the District event. It is something we've all talked about. But I want to highlight that we've had attendees ranging from our business partners, local elected officials, staff, and community members. And we were able to showcase very well and proudly some of the progress we are making in the district, as well as outline our current needs, including some of our budget positions. I personally received a lot of positive feedback on this event from members of the community, and I hope that we can grow it a little bit to include more of our school families, perhaps through a web-based showing of the event. Secondly, I attended the CSBA, California School Board Association Annual Education Conference with most of my colleagues here, including student board member Jake Schwartz. It was really neat to be able to travel with a student and hear his perspective. I actually sat in on a couple sessions with him, and it was nice to get his feedback while the presentations were going on. This annual conference is one of our only opportunities for professional growth and development and continuing education, besides the initial Master's in Governance program, which I completed early in my term. I was able to attend the pre-conference session on the board president's workshop, where I expanded and formalized my understanding of good board leadership. At the regular meeting, we networked with other school districts. We heard presentations on best practices and learned about opportunities for improving our own school district. I attended several sessions, including ones on student social emotional wellness, which is a priority of mine, establishing environmental literacy in the district, including not just curriculum, but also leading by example in our district, dual language programs, which I'm also very interested in, facilities improvement financing. Frankly, it's a growing need in our district, and we have a clear opportunity for learning best practices there, as well as attending a workshop on addressing community controversies. I'm looking forward to applying all the learning that I gained up there, mostly in focus of improving our students' learning and their environment. Many thanks to my board colleagues for entrusting me with the board presidency this year. I'm looking forward to a year of improved civil discourse and focus on student learning. And in closing, I would like to wish everyone a rejuvenating holiday break, because that's what I'm looking forward to with family and loved ones. Thank you. Next item is 12.2. Dr. Phelps.
Thank you, Madam President. We have several recognitions of note to present to the board this evening. I'd like to encourage you to please look at our board packet for the full descriptions in 12.2. In the interest of time, though, I'd like to highlight just a couple tonight. Del Norte students, Esheda, did I say it right? Gard, and Cassandra Lidstead were selected for the National Association for Music Educators All-National Mixed Honor Choir. They are among 550 best of the best student musicians across the country who performed this month at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Mount Carmel High School's Marching Band and Choir Guard took first place for the 4th year in a row at the Southern California School Band and Orchestra Association Championships in Arcadia last month. Congratulations. The Sun Devils also went undefeated during their regular marching season. At this time, I want to draw your attention to the screen for another Excellence in Education video done by our Studio 701, our internship to increase awareness of programs that support our district's mission of college and career readiness. Tonight, we're showing their second piece focused on the role of community service in our students' lives.
When it comes to community service, high school students across Poway Unified are changing the world, one meal at a time. A community event to pack 50,000 meals started with a lot of excitement.
Let's get cranking!
From cheerleaders from Mount Carmel High School to Poway High peer counselors, students from across Poway Unified joined with friends and family community connection in the fight against hunger.
So our Fight Against Hunger events are basically an assembly line. They start down in our bulk area with 4 main ingredients: vitamin packets, which are 21 essential vitamins and minerals, dehydrated vegetables, soy for protein, and then rice is the carbohydrate. It's a nutritional recipe that was developed by food scientists that is so nutritionally packed it actually reverses the effects of malnutrition.
The event was the culmination of months of fundraising and food collecting by each of the individual Fight Against Hunger clubs. Student organizers had the opportunity to demonstrate their leadership skills outside of the classroom.
It's helped me grow immensely. I was able to learn a bunch of responsibilities like time management, organizing. I think it's helped me become a leader in that I know what I want to do in the future, and it's helped me be an advocate for what I want to do.
It really helps the community and it helps give food to everybody. But I think one of the greatest parts of this event is that it unites us. We're all working there together. We're all listening to music, packing bags of food, and we're all talking and interacting with people we might not have met before.
While a portion of the 50,000 meals stay locally for emergency preparedness, the bulk of the packages are sent to Haiti. Friends and Family Community Connection has been providing relief to Haitians since a devastating earthquake hit in 2010. During PUSD's spring break, high school students actually travel there to see the impact of the meals they've helped prepare.
It was a wonderful experience. I was able to meet a bunch of Haitians there, and they honestly changed my life. I was able to learn my social responsibility in the world.
Some of the children are so happy to see us and how they might only get food twice a week, 2-3 times a week. And so it's really scary to see those conditions compared to our lifestyle.
Students' appreciation for helping others translates to a powerful foundation for a lifetime of service to their community.
That's the power of students following their passion passions and realizing that you don't got to be an old person to make a difference. That even at 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, you guys have the ability to change the world and make it happen.
For Poway Unified's Excellence in Education series, I'm Zach Camarino, Studio 701.
I love the spirit of giving and selflessness that our students are carrying with them into all aspects of their lives. These students are changing their community and the world. So speaking of giving, many thanks to the generosity of this district as families and employees have participated in the Palomar Council's Adopt a Family program, as well as the annual giving campaigns to support our school sites and district foundations. I was also told that there's still about 100 families still left to adopt. So if you are still interested, you can still do that. Go ahead and adopt a family, and Ms. Peck will be sure that there's a link on our website that you can click on. I also wanted to congratulate Adobe Bluffs and Eddie Park. Our principal Park flew to Korea on a 24-hour trip to go. Flew to China. I'm sorry. He flew to China. No. He flew to Korea. Oh, okay. I thought okay. He flew to China to share that they were named the International Exemplary School of the Year. Either way, he flew there and was only there for one day. And somewhere in Asia. No, I'm just kidding. Adobe Bluffs was named the International Exemplary School of the Year by the Confucius Institute in China, and they received an award on December the 4th. So I do want to congratulate Adobe Bluffs and Principal Park. Last month, we did hold our very first Poway State of the District breakfast. It was a huge success. I want to thank Christine Peck, our communications director, and our cabinet for all of their hard work in helping us coordinate it and making sure that it was a huge success. The feedback that we received from the community, the media, education, our business partners were so very positive. Many people were very impressed with what we have accomplished in the past year together, as well as looking at our goals for the future. I want to thank all of those who attended. Because this was our first event, State of the District event, we wanted to keep it kind of in a smaller venue. We quickly found out that there was a large interest level, higher than anticipated, of people who wanted to attend. So we had to actually turn away some late RSVPs. But next year we are looking at a bigger venue, perhaps an appetizer event, and later in the day so that other people can attend after work. For those of you who are unable to attend, the entire presentation as well as the videos and publications are also all available on our website. Several board members and I, including Mr. Schwartz, as all of you have mentioned, had the opportunity to attend and network with at the California School Boards Association conference in San Francisco earlier this month. It was an excellent time of learning, a time for team building, but more importantly, it is one of the only ways that our governance team and our board members have an opportunity to learn and enhance their skills to be effective in their role as board members. I look forward, and it was great, and it was great to have Jake there, so I was glad that we were able to make that possible. I look forward to working with all of you as we head into the new year. Congratulations again to those who were reelected and our new board member. I wish you all a wonderful holiday season, and I look forward to seeing you all in 2019. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Phelps. With that, we've arrived at item 14.0, adjournment next meeting. Yep. The next regularly scheduled board meeting will be on Thursday, January 17th, 2019 at 6 p.m. at the same location. We are now adjourned at 8:32.